Hey everybody, Dr. Amy Porto here. I cannot believe I am making this live video on Christmas Eve. So happy Festivus. If you're new to my page, I'm Amy Porto. I'm a registered dietitian, a university nutrition professor, and right now a whole hot mess here in my no makeup face and top knot and whatever. And I wasn't sure if I was going to go live with this, but as I've started going through this process more and more, I was like, oh my gosh. So first of all, let me call out all the things. So I have my phone in this stand that I use when I do live videos that has a light behind it. And if I line it up just weird, you can see that in my glasses. So sorry, because I don't usually do live videos with my glasses on for that reason. And I'm like a hot mess. So anyway, I got some books in the mail today. And I realized when I looked in my study, which is where I do a lot of video, that I really don't have any place to put them. And I've turned into my dad's brother, my uncle, where like books are just like growing on top of books all over my shelves. And I thought, this is absurd. I need to go through my books and just purge a lot of stuff. Like I just need to do it. And tonight's as good a night as any, right? So I'm literally like doing Marie Kondo of my books. Like literally life-changing art of tidying up. So one of the things is that you go through and you like dump out all your books. And if you have an absurd number of books, like I do, you kind of categorize them in piles. And as I was doing that, I was just blown away at the number of books that I have accumulated over the years I don't even know how to talk about it, that I'm so mad that I paid money for, that I actually paid money for these books. And so if you've kind of followed the things that I talk about on this page and calling out diet culture and all of those things, I can believe, because I'm a person who lives in the world as a woman, the number of books that I have that have not served me in any great way. And so since my husband's at work and I'm here by myself on Christmas Eve, I thought I would share some of you because I was entertaining myself. I thought somebody else might be entertained by what I found. And I'm just thinking, here's the part that makes me mad. And then I'm going to show you some of the stack. I don't know how I'm going to do this with this stack behind me without knocking them all over. But the thing that makes me mad is it wasn't that long ago. I mean, like a couple of years, but not that long ago, that I actually did this same thing where I purged a bunch of books. Like I just went through a bunch of them and I donated them. There's like a little local library shed in my area where you can donate a bunch of books. Like I donated a lot of books, like a lot, that I couldn't even carry them all out to the car, a lot. And here I am yet again. And the fact that the ones that I'm going to show you survived that culling just shows, like, pat myself on the back for some growth in my own area. But man, if getting like out of all of this diet culture nonsense is something that you are looking to do, whew, what an exercise. So let me show you some of the things that are on my list that I'm getting rid of. Shameful, shameful, shameful. Okay. I spent money and let me just say, if you gifted me any of these things, I'm sorry, because I probably asked for them and you gifted them for me. So first on the list, oh, the Rachel Hollis collection. The Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing. Why? I read these too. I read this toxic positivity nonsense. And there's a whole lot wrong here with Miss Rachel Hollis and all of her diet culture nonsense that I've shared on this page before. But yeah, I spent money on some of those books. Okay, here was what started me on the rant. And I'm sorry, I'm turning every time to pick one up. So back in the day, like way back in the day, like probably almost, 20 years ago. And then there's a theme here as well that I noticed. I remember watching, and some of you might remember this, when Dr. Oz was first on the Oprah Winfrey Show, right? So before Dr. Oz had his own show and then like went down this like quack, supplement peddling nonsense show that he has, when he was on Oprah's show initially, behaving like an actual medical professional, he had some really great learning opportunities to the point, and this is how old they were, that I would videotape them with my VCR And I can remember actually showing like some of the ways he described how metabolism works and how he described how diabetes works in the bodies. And he had really good metaphors and ways to describe things. So there was a time where I was like a Dr. Oz fan because I thought he was a good teacher in the way he described things. And I thought he had some really great visuals, and I would actually talk about them. Well, things have changed, obviously. At least I think most folks know, like, that is not a place of where you should be getting your information, because as he got his own show, it just, like, took a turn and got bought out by supplement people. But let me show you what's part of my collection. This is from Dr. Oz and his kind of partner in crime at the time, Michael Roizen, who was sometimes every once in a while show up on Oprah's show with Dr. Oz. I don't know if you can see these. We had a collection. One was called You on a Diet. The Owner Manual for Waste Management. Clever. Very clever. And I can remember, how old is this book? How old is this thing? Let's find out. Again, I'm just doing this on the fly. Let's see what's on here. It's old. Yeah, 2006, right? So it's up there. And this is great. Like, as you look through it, they have wonderful pictures and things like that. But yeah, you know, we're like Diet Culture 101 right here. But wait, there's more. There's also Diet Culture's friend, You, Staying Young. Same authors from Oz and Roizen with an equally good tagline, The Owner's Manual for Extending Your Warranty, right? Because what is Diet Culture's whole, MO is that, you have to be young, you have to be thin, you have to be white, although they don't have a book on that. You have to be able-bodied, and of course, wait for it, you have to be beautiful. It's like the trifecta, and these aren't small books, of Diet Culture. Be beautiful, be thin, stay young. I paid money for these books. Off to the pile they go. Then we get into phases. Oh yeah, this is a good. Let me find these. Here's another. Let me find my theme here. I should have organized before I went live. Then there was a time, I forget when this happened, but there was one surgery and I remember recovering. I forget if it was my appendix. It might have been. I don't know. It feels like it was longer ago than that. And I was laid up. That much I remember. And I was watching a whole bunch of stuff on my DVR that I hadn't caught up with. And I ordered a bunch of books because you can only watch so much TV. And I remember watching Chris Carr's documentary, Crazy Sexy Cancer, which was interesting, but interesting. So I'm laid up, so I bought her book, Crazy Sexy Diet. And I actually read this book. And I knew reading this book that it's like, really? So this is in the phase of, it's so interesting to see what was popularized and what has stayed. So Chris Carr, this was in the phase of when like this whole idea of like alkaline type foods start to come back into play and connections to cancer, where, if you're going to eat everything that's alkaline or basic and you don't eat all of the things that are acidic, then you're somehow not going to feed cancer cells in your body, or some nonsense that was all in here. And just, it's important to know that like you're not going to be eating things that are going to like cause your body to be alkaline or acidic. And if you can, you'll be dead because your pH range in your body is so narrow. And if you mess with that, you're dead. So this Crazy Sexy Diet ain't going to do that. No. Now you can do like immediate types of things like in your stomach so you don't have heartburn, but it's not, you're not changing your whole bloodstream dynamic. All that gets neutralized in your stomach anyway. But this was a whole thing. So then I started to think about this. Like, there's a theme here because Oz got his popularity on Oprah's show. Chris Carr's big breakout moment was on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So like Oprah's kind of a problem here, right? Between pseudoscience that came from Oz, diet nonsense that came here, Gwyneth Paltrow's goop, Jenny McCarthy's anti-vaxxing, like, there's a lot of things that got popularized in main culture because Oprah gave these people a platform. I don't know, just noticing a theme. So the foreword, or the preface of this book, was by the co-author of the book Skinny Bitch. Let's continue. I must have been really on hot medication. Look what I have. The Everyday Cookbook by who? I won't say it twice in case my parents are watching. The Ultimate Everyday Cookbook. Crazy delicious recipes that are good for the earth and great for your bod. I have never opened this. I was really on like a painkiller kick. But let's just open to a random page because I am going to guess that this is not stuff that anybody has in their actual kitchen. Oh no, that's not true. Let me call it as I see it. That's not true. There are things, no, these are things that people would have. That's fair. So if this was somebody who was following like a plant-based vegan diet, that's actually fair. This would be a cookbook that they would find things on the expensive side, but they would find things. So yeah, I had that cookbook. Let's see what else we have. Oh, wait. Let me get this collection. This is so embarrassing, but like you have to call out your own stuff because there's always a mixture for me. I have to say, like in my own interest, for just my own personal interest, but then there's also a professional interest as well because you need to know what people are talking about in the culture. So even though it pains me a lot of times to read some of these things and be like, oh gosh, this is what people are going to be talking about. You need to in order to stay up to date with what people are talking about. But I gotta be honest, that's not where all this is coming from. Some of this was just out of my own interest. So here's a collection. I don't even remember this. I have to be honest, I don't remember this. So I'm afraid to look to see when this set of books, 2009. I must be getting old and losing my memory already because I really don't remember anything. But I have 4 books by this person. And I did a quick look who, guess what, was also on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So Kathy Freston. I don't know. I don't remember Kathy Freston, who has no credentials to talk about anything, but this is great. I love the language of the time. So she had a book called Quantum Wellness, a practical and spiritual guide to health and happiness. And guess who wrote the foreword? Dr. Oz. It gets great. Dr. Oz wrote the foreword. So I did a quick page through as I'm putting these in my pitch pile. I mean, this is just like one of these like nonsense on top of nonsense on top of nonsense kind of things. And everything for you to achieve quantum wellness. At some point, you're going to like detox and cleanse everything in your life. So that was a good one. But like I told you, I had more. There was also her 21-day guide on how to do that, right? That's a good one as well. Oh, and this is all on the vegan end of things, but taken to an extreme because she actually did. This was my favorite title overall. Veganist. I've never been a vegan, but again, I don't care if somebody is a vegan. You do you, if that's what you like to do. But I love the tagline to this one. This one's great. Lose weight, get healthy, and change the world. Now, I'm guessing changing the world is because of this idea that you're choosing something plant-based, not like because you lost weight, you've changed the world. I'm guessing that's what they mean here with this. But this is really before, this is when we could still say the word vegan. Do you notice now in 2020 and almost 2021, we don't say vegan, we say plant-based. But then if you ask people what plant-based means, it means all different kinds of things to different people. Because some people who are basing their diet on plants also will eat animal products. And other people who are plant-based really mean they're vegan. So let's just call it what it is. I don't know. But yeah, who wrote the foreword in this one? Oh, but the co-author of Skinny Bitch wrote a review on the back. So it's all the same recycled nonsense. So I did look through this one really quick because it's fun to look through them before you get rid of them. And it was just really, it's just really bad. Like the extremist type of things. Like this is where I think, not to get off on a tangent, but like the whole vegan, I don't want to say movement diet because there have always been people who have been vegan for ethical reasons. But the shift in this has gotten so sensationalized in ways that aren't necessary. Like there's tons of research about the benefits of plant-based diets that we don't have to muddy the water with, you know, documentaries like What the Health and what was that other nonsense one with Schwarzenegger, Game Changers and things like that really do like halfway pseudoscience and then kind of halfway science and then do really bad examples and then say, this is how we should all eat. Like, you actually have data. Why? Anyway, why mess that up? All right, let's keep going. Oh, there's one more from here. This must have been the latest one, called The Lean. That's still Kathy Preston. I don't know. Oh, and who wrote on the back of this one was good old Andrew Weil. Yes. Andrew Weil, who's like the hater of all nutrition professionals and registered dietitians, for all of his, I'm a Western medicine person, but I pretend I'm not to be. Anyway, that's that stack. Okay, let me get, pardon me turning here for a second. Let me get some of the others. And tell me, those of you who are tuned in here or catching off the replay, what are some of the books here that you might have in your stack that you would admit to? Because I'm telling you all mine. Hold on, this gets better. Oh, from back in the back, way back. Again, I don't even know why I have these. Did someone give these to me? I have 2 books from Weight Watchers. I don't even remember where these came from. I wouldn't have bought them. I don't know. And sometimes too, in like dietitian land, you just get random things, or you go to a conference and they're like free to pick up. So that might have been, I don't remember where these came from. But anyway, I have Weight Loss That Lasts, Breaking Through the 10 Big Diet Myths. That's one. And this is an awful title. Ooh. Start Living, Start Losing. So apparently until you start losing weight, you're dead. You can only start living once you start losing. Oh, and this is back in the day of Sarah the Duchess of York is doing the foreword in this particular book. So I don't remember those. But yeah, there's a little Weight Watchers collection. All right, this is the most painful one for me to admit. It is the most painful one. But we got to do it. Oh. I hope someone bought this one as a gift for me and I didn't pay for this. Ready? Jillian Michaels, Master Your Metabolism. I could bang myself on my own head. I don't think I ever read this, though. Are you like me? Like, do you have a lot of books that you haven't read? That's the problem. That is the problem. I just got 2 new books in the mail today, and I have a ton of books that I haven't read, thus the purging of the books. This one is madness. And her 3 like pillars on how to master your metabolism are remove, restore, rebalance. Remove anti-nutrients and toxins, which are slowing down your metabolism. Number 1, that's nonsense. Restore natural whole foods that will rally your fat-burning hormones, because your hormones don't care. And rebalance your hormones with sleep. Okay. Dealing with stress, and then exercising, the one thing she actually knows how to talk about, what's going to manage them the best. That's embarrassing. I almost want to look through some of this to see, but it would make me so angry. Oh, this is a good page, random page to open to. There's a random page I just opened to this about doing the math on organic food and when to buy it and when not to buy it. And of course, this gets referenced, the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen, which everybody references. That's like complete nonsense. And when you understand how that Dirty Dozen list actually works, it's so... Anyway, I think I did a video about that before, but she has her list of things to always buy organic and things to sometimes buy organic, and then things to not bother buying organic. Oh, this is great. This is great. Let's pause and find the wisdom. So she says, always buy organic even after washing or other attempts to reduce pesticides. These foods will still be the most toxic. But it doesn't say why, but they just will be. Meat, dairy, and eggs, coffee, because caffeine is a pesticide, peaches and nectarines, apples, bell peppers, celery, berries, lettuce, grapes, and number 10, foods you eat a lot. So foods you eat a lot will always remain the most toxic, even when you wash off the pest. What do you even mean? Then she says, here's her sometimes buy organic, which falls under the category of, hey, if you've got the cash, why not? Processed foods. Okay. onions, avocados, pineapple, cabbage, broccoli, bananas, asparagus, corn, mangoes. Again, with no rhyme or reason as to why, but this is what made me laugh. That was fun. Things to not bother buying organic. Don't be duped into wasting your budget on seafood, water, this is my favorite, or foods that you don't eat often. If you're not eating them, I guess she means if you don't eat often, then why buy them organic if you don't eat them often? Anyway, it doesn't make any logical sense. That's going in the pile. Then to round it out, and I haven't even gotten through all the shelves, but this was the one that made me realize I needed to do this video because, wait, let me find, there's a whole stack. Oh, wait, there's two more. I forgot. Oh. There is, okay, so if you're a Real Housewives fan, I used to be a Real Housewives fan, like back in the original, like OG of the OC and like the original New York, New Jersey, not all these, yes, Atlanta. I think that's where I kind of cut things off, and then I wasn't as interested anymore. But I did like some of the originals, and then it just, when they all like had their own, like, we're going to make a brand out of something, then I was out. But back in the day, when it was original seasons of New York, I was a big Bethany Frankel fan on the show. I appreciated her on the show because she was like the only non-housewife on a show about housewives, and it was just her and her dog Cookie, and I just thought she was really scrappy going out and trying to get her cookies out there, her, food line and things that she was doing, and she was just an interesting character compared to the rest of them that were out there. So when she finally came out and had some of the things that she did with Skinny Girl, which was a horrible branding name, but whatever. So at some point I bought this book just because I liked her, and hers was called Naturally Thin. Sorry for the glare of the light. Which should have been the title right there, because she is. And unleash yourself from a lifetime of dieting. But it includes a 1-week diet plan. But unleash yourself from doing dieting. But, oh, and then there's a whole program, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, we have to go to that. What do you do on these days where you're dieting, but you're not dieting so that you can be naturally, oh, no, this thing is absurd. Like, here are all the recipes and everything not to eat. Oh my gosh. This is awful. No wonder we're so screwed up. This is awful. Ugh. Okay, so that goes on a pile. But anyway, oh, this was the other one I found. This was also the No Nonsense Guide to Cutting Crap Out of Your Life. This one I remember I got because it was so absurd, and was all about like toxins in your house and toxins in your cleaner and toxins for your body and toxics in your skincare and toxin and natural, and like this was more of a what do you see what's out there? Food dyes and artificial food and all this stuff that we don't need to worry about, but rich people can worry about because they can buy other stuff. Yeah. But here's where I came on and I was like, okay, I have to make this video about this because I see the central point. So way back in the day, I was a person of would it have been the 90s? I think it would have been like right when I was in high school. When Oprah went through her whole like fitness phase with Bob Greene. I don't know if you remember that. And I had her book, Make the Connection. And there she is with Bob Greene. And there she is with Bob Greene. This was actually, I remember, this I did read back in the day. And this actually was a good book for what it was. I think 1996, yeah, so this would have been college time for me. And this was a good book because I think she explained, what I liked about it was, it was a perspective from a person who had gone through a lot of dieting in their life and the back and forth. And I remember in here talking, the big story that always stuck out with me, and I know she's talked about it, was being nominated for an Academy Award and actually hoping that she wouldn't win because she didn't want to have to go on stage and adjust her dress and this whole big long thing. And people who have, lived life in a larger body can relate to so many of the things that she shared. So from that aspect, I thought it was a powerful type of book. But then what happened is it launched Bob Greene's career into how you can get with the program and have a total makeover. And then that changed over time because, you know, we got out of that language. And then Oprah's kind of marketing changed into The Best Life. And there was a time, and I remember this. This was Bob Greene's Best Life. This symbol, you might remember, The Best Life. Actually, somehow the two of them got together and were able to get that put onto food labels. It was a brief moment in time. And this is probably like early 2000s, I'm guessing. Let's see. Oh, no, 2006. So early-ish. What was going on in my life from 2006 to 2009 that I was getting all these books? I guess in some ways I was starting out as a college instructor too, so I was getting background information about what students would know coming in and what their mothers taught them and some of that. But anyway, this actually wasn't bad because I looked through this before I debated keeping this or not. The back half of this are all recipes, and they're actually not bad because they're recipes with ingredients that most of us can afford and find in our local grocery stores. That's an important part. And they're also recipes that don't have all the nutrient information, which really isn't necessary to include. So it's not breaking everything down for you to count everything. So from that aspect, it's actually, and plus there's cute dogs on the back. So, you know, there's actually usable information in here. So I may keep this, may not. But it reminded me of this time where this label, this Best Life, was a thing for like a hot minute that they paid companies to have on labels. So anyway, as I was sitting here, I was just thinking about, and I'm just looking, I mean, I have like 2 or 3 more shelves to go through. And that was just a couple of the stuff. And like everything I showed you is going. And I'm struggling with what to do, if I'm honest, with a lot of these books, because a lot of them, you know, if I read them, I don't really remember. And they're all problematic. Right? So part of me wants to just like throw them in a dumpster. Really? Like, do I want to donate them so that somebody else can read this nonsense and like perpetuate all this diet culture nonsense? No. I don't feel right about just, like, can I recycle them someplace? I don't know if you know of a place that I can recycle them, because I don't want to give them to somebody else and hurt their brain with horrible information. So I have to consider that. Like, I think it's really helpful if you're working through trying to distance yourself from all this diet culture kind of language that's out there. I mean, this was a big thing. Now, I obviously haven't looked at this bookshelf in over a decade, clearly. So it's not like I'm sitting here reading all of these things, but they're still here, and it's a big pile. And, you know, there's other things I'm getting rid of as well that aren't related, but it's taking up space. And I think it's an important step is to really go through and like get rid of all of the magazines and all of the stuff that just tells you that you aren't good enough. There's a difference between having stuff that inspires you to become better versus a lot of this kind of just nonsense. So I'm thankful to get rid of it, but I have to decide what getting rid of it means. I don't know that I want to donate it anywhere because yuck. It's like toxic diet culture nonsense. So I got to think about that. But I wanted to share it because, you know, if you're new here to my page and I talk about a lot of the harm and marketing and how to provide you with information so that we're not all swept up in a lot of the things that are in our diet culture. And I use that language because it's the air that we breathe. It's what we live in every single day are these messages that we're just constantly bombarded with. And I'm victim to it as well. I mean, I have this whole stack of things that I'm going to get rid of that I bought for a variety of reasons, but they're not all research for work. Let's be honest. You know, some of it is just my own personal interest and seeing what's out there in the times and being easily sucked back into like, well, maybe this is something that's interesting. So we're all a victim to it, even those of us who work in this area professionally. But it's interesting to see, you know, how that's shifted and how I can look at that stuff now and be like, oh my goodness, what in the world was I thinking? Owning this stuff, spending money on this stuff, like it's shameful. But in a way it's not. You know what I mean? Because you know better, you do better. Oh my gosh, I'm quoting Maya Angelou when she said that on Oprah Winfrey. All roads will lead back to Oprah. But it's true. You know, you only do better when you know better with things. And there was a time where I guess I thought I needed to have some of that stuff. But now I'm getting rid of it. So I encourage that. I encourage you to do that for yourself. And I was going to talk about, here's what was really going to happen. Let's just, because I'm looking like this, let's just be real. I was actually going to do a video about doing like a purge like this, and how, the harm that it does when you have all this information around you that's not serving you, whether it is like diet books and magazines and all that type of stuff that's aspirational, but that just really makes you feel terrible. And I was going to talk about it. But as I was doing this tonight, I thought, well, let's really talk about it. Like, let's no makeup bun here, pajamas, actually talk about it. So if you have books or things like that you find, I'm trying to see if I have more. I don't think so. I would love to hear what's on your list or things that you have purged. Because it was an exercise, that is for sure. But let me show you what I'm making room for. This is what spawned this whole thing, was that I got some books in the mail today and then I realized my book collection is out of control. So lots has to go. So 2 that I'm really excited about reading. And someone over on my profile page was like, oh my gosh, I love this new podcast. And then I was like, there's a book. One is Aubrey Gordon's What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat. That I'm really, really excited to read. I've enjoyed a lot of her writing for Self Magazine and have enjoyed following her on Instagram. And I think I've shared on this page, she and I don't know who the co-host is of their podcast. That's terrible. I don't know his name off the top of my head. Have a podcast called Maintenance Phase, which is just my new favorite podcast. I love, love, love. But I will say it's littered with language and a lot of F words in there. So if that is offensive to you, this is not your show. But if you look past that, it's really smart. The research level is excellent. It's smart. They're funny. They're also potty mouths. So I'm not going to recommend something to not give you the full disclosure, but from the science end of things, for the smartness of it, I like it. So I don't know, this book may be a lot of the same, but I appreciate the work that she's done and her writing. So I'm looking forward to that book. And the other one that I'm also really interested in reading is called Radical Belonging. Ooh, sorry, lighting. Radical Belonging by Lindo Bacon. And I've really liked some of Lindo Bacon's work with Health at Every Size, Embody Respect, those types of things. And this is really coming from, I think, being more kind of trauma-informed overall. But there are a lot of, it's interesting, as I was calling out the other books, I just realized this. This is so funny. So one of the people who did a blurb on the back for Lindo Bacon's Radical Belonging is Aubrey Gordon. So let's see if it goes the other way. Oh my gosh, and it goes the other way. They're all in league. It doesn't matter the topic. And Lindo Bacon did one on the back for her. Isn't that funny? That's really funny. That's, I think, the only overlap. But it would make sense because they're kind of in the same area. So it's everywhere. It's not just in the other books. It's even in books like this. So let's call it out when we see it. But the tagline for this, which was interesting, is how to survive and thrive in an unjust world while transforming it for the better. And I was driving, I forget where I was driving not that long ago, and I heard an interview with Lindo Bacon on Christy Harrison's Food Psych podcast, and it was so good and just so relatable. And I thought, wow, like Lindo Bacon is so just well-spoken on these topics, and you could just, as a person, they're very different than me, but so relatable at the same time. And it really came from this ways in which we are alike and experience the world in similar ways. And I just think it's going to be an interesting book based on that interview. So those are the 2 that I picked up. I don't know which one I'm going to start first, but I know I'm not going to start them both at the same time because then you never get through anything. So anyway, just ranting, but I wanted to share my my diet culture stack of books. And if you have any recommendations of what to do with them, I'll take them. Throw them in the comments. I would like to know, because I don't want to pass. I don't want to donate them. I don't want to give them to somebody else and fill their brain with toxic diet culture nonsense. Anyway, all right. Have a Merry Christmas Eve. Happy Festivus. I guess I aired my grievances. Does that count as some of my grievances? I'm airing my grievances about diet culture. All right. Good night.